Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So let's talk about naysayers. There's going to be certain people around you that are going to be negative nillies. They're going to poo-poo on all the ideas that you have. Whether it's business plans, travel plans, future stuff that you want to do, things you want to do in your immediate future, all kinds of stuff that you're thinking about. That's why you hear a lot of advice to say that tells you to not reveal what your next move is. And that's fine. You know, sometimes that is best, especially if you don't want to suffer through all the people trying to bring you down and tell you you can't do shit. And there's going to be plenty of those people in your life. You may be surrounded by them. You may be the only one in the room, and that room may be the size of a stadium, and it may be packed. You may be the only one there who thinks something is possible or thinks something is a good idea. And everybody else is shaking their head and saying, go get a real job, or that's dumb, that'll never work. And sometimes you just have to take the risk anyways. You know, I went through this, I've been through this a bunch of times, but I went through this particularly with my motorcycle shop, with Sinister City Motorcycles. And we started in Los Angeles in the year 2001, and I was underfunded. I had pretty much no money, and I wanted to start a motorcycle shop, and that's a business that takes money. How are you going to get a shop? How are you going to buy all those tools? Fuck, you even seen how much one wrench costs you off the Snap-on truck? One wrench can cost you $100. You got to buy a whole toolbox full of shit. How are you going to do any of this with no money? Well, I was just going to start small and work my way step by step. Always reinvest. Take the drug dealer math that I learned out in the streets and just apply it to regular business. You know, business is business. It doesn't matter if you're selling crack or you're starting a motorcycle shop. It doesn't matter what you're doing. There's certain rules of how to make money that apply across the board, regardless of the product or the service. I learned those out in the streets. Many people, you know, learn those through their family or in college. And I just started with what I had and worked my way up. I did it anyways. All of a sudden, and it wasn't all of a sudden, because that makes it sound like I turned around and got lucky, but after the first year, I was making more at my motorcycle hobby, and it was truly just a hobby out in the front yard. I didn't have a garage. I had no area to do it. I just do it in the front yard, on the curb. All of a sudden, I was making more doing that at my hobby than I was at the job that I was working at a construction company. And I was just like, why am I wasting my time commuting up to Hollywood? I'll just hang out at home all day and make twice the money working on something that I like. And a lot of people were surprised, and they were just like, man, you're going to quit your job? How are you going to do that? That's a stupid idea. Why would you do that? And I was like, well, I'm making more money doing this. Well, the people had all these negative attitudes. Well, it's not guaranteed money. What if that falls off tomorrow? What if it falls off next month? What if, what if this, what if that? At least the job's guaranteed. These are the same people that told me I couldn't do it to begin with. When I finally started to get more successful in the motorcycle industry, with any business you have to have a niche. My niche, because I was broke and underfunded, was to do cheap bikes. I wasn't doing like Jesse James, where Jesse James started off with money. He had that guy Barry Weiss, and then his wife, who also came from money. He had people behind him that were going to give him 30, 40 grand. Here's this, honey, go build a motorcycle. He'd go buy himself a $15,000 bike and then strip it down, rebuild it back up, do this, do that. His wife was buying him English wheels and all kinds of tools. And I'm not trying to discount the guy. He had a great career, but he came from money. Don't get it twisted. All of them did. Billy Lane, all of them, they all came from money. They're all little rich boys. Russell Mitchell from Exile Cycles, every one of them. All little rich boys with help. I had nothing. And I did it anyways. With nobody telling me, oh, this is a good idea. This is great. This is going to be good for you. You should do this. I had nobody telling me this. Not anybody. And I finally was able to get myself established into a motorcycle shop, and our niche was to continue with these cheap bikes. I was dedicated to put broke people, poor people, whatever you want to call them, people that didn't have a budget to play that game with the choppers, because the people that buy those choppers are all rich also. The people that are building them are all little rich boys, trust fund babies. And the people who buy them were all investment bankers and lawyers. I didn't like that. Bikers are supposed to be tough, not these loafer wearing, Izod shirt wearing little idiot douchebags. You'd see them on their choppers, and the chopper would be worth 60 grand. It ruined the whole scene. It made it seem like, well, when you're sitting at a stoplight on your chopper, you're supposed to look over and scare people in the car next to you. They're like, oh, don't look at them, honey. These are bikers. Now people are looking to see if it's Johnny Depp or see if it's somebody famous. Who's that? Who's that? Because those are the only people that can afford that shit. Ruined the whole scene. I didn't like that shit. These chump choppers from Orange County and whatever that, those idiots. I don't like none of that. I just wanted to do cheap bikes, whatever you want to call them. Hondas, Yamahas, foreign bikes, just cheap stuff. Stuff anybody could afford. For $5,000 or $10,000, you could get on a custom bike too. It doesn't have to be a bunch of rich boys. You don't have to be an investment banker or a lawyer, some stockbroker. You don't have to be any of that bullshit to be able to afford one of our bikes. And we'll put you on a badass bike that'll be able to win a show. I've entered bikes that cost no more than $5 or $6 grand into the Rat's Hole show and taken away their trophies. There's big trophies. Gotten in multiple magazines for cheap bikes. I remember when we took the Rat's Hole trophy, me and my brother, who's my business partner, we were standing there waiting for the judges to happen. They called my name. I got this big old motherfucking trophy. We won our class for, because there's different classes of bikes that compete against each other. And there's all these guys standing around. I took their trophy with my cheap ass fucking Jap bike. And they had $100,000 bills. This one guy had $120,000. That's what he had into his bike. Who knows what he's gonna sell it for? I took their trophy. I got their spot in the magazine. That was supposed to be them, it was me. And everybody was against me on this shit. People kept telling me over and over and over again, you don't have enough money to have a motorcycle shop. You don't have enough experience. You don't even have a good idea. Everybody's doing these expensive choppers. You should be doing that shit too. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that. I had my own ideas. That was back in year 2001. Now it's 2021. I still have my shop. My shop is known in South Africa. It's known in Australia. It's known in England. We had some people from England that would come to our store. We had a retail store for many years. And they would tell me that they've seen my t-shirts and my stickers all over the UK. They wanted some too. They know about us in Germany. They know about us in Russia. They know about us in China. They know about us in Japan, Taiwan. I started this from nothing in the goddamn ghetto with a bad idea that nobody supported me on. Everybody told me, just keep your fucking day job. The whole point of the story is that you have to follow your passion. There's no such thing as failure. There's only learning experiences. Sure, I didn't make $1 million like Jesse James. Jesse James is getting $50 million left and right. Ad campaigns and this and that, selling t-shirts, making millions a year off his t-shirts. We got t-shirts too. I never made $1 million off them. But I still have people in Germany wearing them. I'm pretty proud of the lessons that I've learned. I'm pretty glad that I stayed with it. And that's the point. Don't let anybody try to hijack your fucking dreams. If you want to do something, you can do it. There's nothing that will stop you. That's the mindset of success. Even though it was kind of a fabricated story, it's like that movie 300, where the whole idea, and I don't want to get into the true history of it, but just the movie, because the movie wasn't a historic movie, it was just a goddamn movie, but it was inspiring. And these 300 guys went against the Persian army and Xerxes, that weirdo, and they had thousands and thousands of people, and they held them off in the little pass. They were able to beat what seemed like insurmountable odds, unbeatable odds. Everything was against them. Everybody's like, "Oh, you're crazy. You guys are all going to go to your death." And in the movie, these guys really were able to accomplish a lot. And you can be like that in your life. You don't need a bunch of people supporting you. You don't need a bunch of people patting you on your back, blowing smoke up your ass. Sure, it's nice to be able to feel supported by people, but you don't need it. I didn't need it. All I needed was my own personal drive, my own will to win, my own hard-headedness. I want to do what I want to do, and no one's going to fucking stop me. Period. And that's what got me to where I am. That's how I bought this house with a goddamn pool. I used to be homeless. I should be in prison right now. Instead, I'm living a great life. And it was all because I fucking didn't listen to nobody. I just went for it. You gotta sink or swim in this world. You just gotta fucking do it. Jump in and start swimming. Thanks for watching.